To the Coastal Virginia Chamber of Commerce, another civic engagement platform. We're so glad you're with us. I'm your host, JP Gotzi, and we have a guest from the city of Portsmouth. He wants to be your next city councilman. His name is Dante Walston. He seems like a great guy, and this is going to be a fun few minutes here. Glad that you're with us. Mr. Walston, welcome.
Hey, good morning. Thanks so much for having me. Thank you.
Please tell us, you want a big job, big responsibility. Tell us your background, why you're qualified, and why people should vote for you. You certainly got one of the biggest smiles in town.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Well, I'll tell you, I got into this because the people of Portsmouth, the citizens, the hardworking people of Portsmouth deserve something new. Like we just spoke about, we're on the front page of the Virginia Pod for everything but the right thing. So we need someone to change the narrative. And that's why I've decided to get into this race. I did my undergraduate studies between Norfolk State University and Olde Towne, where I studied music. I was a music teacher. I still teach music. I still make a lot of noise. So I'm the loudest person on the block. So that's where I got my start. But for graduate studies, I went to the Catholic University of Washington, where I studied leadership. So I've kind of done the 360. I started out in the classroom now, and I'm into leadership, where I work with the Port of Virginia, where I've been here for about the last 7.5 years. That's why I bought my house in Portsmouth. And one of the first things I noticed when I started getting involved in the politics or the political world in Portsmouth is there's a disconnect between the leadership and the people. And one thing I know is if I'm a leader, I can't make moves without consulting the people that keep me in office. So that was the reason why I decided to get into this race. And like I said, the people deserve something better. They deserve to have leaders that are going to be accountable. And I will be accountable for everything I do if the people of Portsmouth choose to elect me to city council. We're hoping everything goes well. So that's why I've decided to get into this race. It's a lot. It's going to be a lot of headaches, but I'm about putting the city back in the drive. We've been hovering in neutral for too long.
COVID's taken an impact across the world. Certainly Hampton Roads, no different. Has Portsmouth handled it well? And the business grants that were given out, and now there's still some money in the kitty, my understanding. People can get up to $10,000. What do you know about that, and is it being handled well?
Well, I'll say this. I think a lot of things that are going on right now due to COVID, the city could have done better. As in the money that they gave to like the hazardous pays and things that they've given to some of the city workers, I think they could have done that better. As far as the grant programs, a lot of people, especially the small business owners, they don't know about the access to it. So getting that, again, that goes back to that line of communication that I talk about that needs to be between leadership and the people, so they can know that there is help, there is access to capital out there. I'll tell you, one of the things I'm trying to implement once I get on city council is a small business commission for this very reason. Not only will that help bring jobs, it'll reestablish that line between those small business owners. We have vacant buildings in Port Norfolk, in Olde Towne, and Cavalier Manor, vacant buildings where we could have small mom and pop shops. And again, that would help fill those, but it again help those people access capital. And right now, small businesses are suffering. The Targets, the Walmarts, the Amazons are doing well, but the mom and pop shop, they're suffering right now. And that goes back to, like I said, that communication. I don't think the city has communicated well with the small business owners. And I think that's something that can change.
Let me follow up on that. You said something that nobody's ever mentioned. That you said there are a lot of closed up storefronts there on High Street. I'm assuming I drove down there as well as some other places. You're saying this, you would suggest renting those out at a small price. I don't want to put words in your mouth, to try to get people back in those stores. How would that work?
I would like to see those utilized, but not per se. I'd like to see them leased in some kind of capacity. Like I said, I proposed some months ago, and still am pushing it, a small business commission that would diversify what business ownership looks like in Portsmouth, so that those vacant buildings, like I said, in Olde Towne off of High Street, in Port Norfolk, the Cavalier Manor, across the city, we have a lot. This city has communities where they had unique shops in there. And over the years, over the last couple of years, they've gone vacant due to access to capital, the taxes. I'm sure you're certain about how high our taxes are in Portsmouth, but they've left Portsmouth, and businesses aren't attracted to Portsmouth. And I think that's because we've had the wrong person in the driver's seat, or the wrong people in the driver's seat. So it's time for something new. But I think my small business commission will help with that. I've got some friends in Richmond and some friends across the water that have been doing well with their commissions, diversifying and bringing new business owners to their city. And I'm trying to do that for Portsmouth. We've got vacant buildings that need to be filled.
That's good. Those are very positive, good ideas. You talked about businesses, and you mentioned, unfortunately, Portsmouth on the front page of the paper for all the wrong reasons. That again happened this morning, unfortunately. What would you say to a business that the leadership, which has been having problems with, what would your term on council do to improve that? And let's touch on race relations. We can't avoid that subject.
No.
That's certainly tough in there.
Right. Well, with me under leadership, we flip a new leaf, and I'll tell you this: it isn't completely city council. It's our 4th floor downtown Portsmouth, the permits, and trying to get those new businesses into Portsmouth. A lot of people don't like hearing it, but I tell you, I work for the Port of Virginia. If we don't get the job done, they send us home. So we might have to send some people home. It's time for something new downtown. I'm almost ready to hire a bunch of new interns that will get those paperworks and get those processes through. We shouldn't. Great businesses, small and large, have been trying to come to Portsmouth and are held up in our 4th floor. And city council hasn't addressed it. I mean, economic development, they haven't addressed it. It's time to push those old ways out so we can get some new things into Portsmouth. And I'm willing, I hate to come in with my battering ram, but I'm ready to push some things out the door because we need growth in Portsmouth. And like I said, business hasn't been attracted here because they get held up in the 4th floor. I, for instance, have a friend that was trying to open up some group homes in Portsmouth and was held up for a year, went to Norfolk and got things going in 3 months. So it shouldn't be that way, but that 4th floor in our economic development department has really stagnated growth in Portsmouth. And that's something under my leadership, I'm willing to work hand in hand. Like I said, I don't mind getting my hands dirty. I'm willing to work hand in hand with these people to get the things done. But you mentioned race relations, and we could be on that all day, but I'll be brief with you. We've got to have leadership that is willing to meet with people with different mind specs. I'll tell you, I've met with the Democrats, I've met with the Republicans, I've met with the Tea Party. I don't mind meeting with anybody with any different mindset, but we have more in common than we have that separates us. And some of our leadership, not all of our leadership, but some of our leadership aren't willing to go to those places and meet with those people because they have different ideas about how things can be done. Across the board, black, white, green, or blue, we want safe streets. We want to be able to get from our front door to our driveways. We want our young people to have good schools. And we want to have jobs in our city so we don't have to go to Norfolk, so we don't have to go to Suffolk, or so we don't have to go to the beach. But I'm willing to sit down with them, civic league directors, community activists, and the Christian and evangelical community to see how we can put our city back together. But right now, the people at the top that are controlling things benefit when the city is divided. And when we're divided, we can't stand together. So we
that
need
makes
somebody.
Absolutely. That just makes absolutely no sense. A house divided cannot stand. I believe that was Lincoln that said that during the Civil War. Regionalism, let's talk about that. Okay. I've been here 36 years. It seems like the cities, more often than not, do not work as cohesively together
That's right.
than they should. Regionalism certainly could benefit all of Hampton Roads, especially the 7 big cities.
Right. I'm willing, and I'll say this, that's one of the first things I noticed when I moved to this city. I love the city again, so much promise, but a lot of the leadership in Portsmouth has been under this mindset, we're going to do it ourselves. And that we can't get a lot of things done. And I can be like that with a lot of my little tasks. I just want to do it by myself. But if I have a neighbor, if I have a friend, if I have someone near me that is doing the same thing that I'm trying to get done and they're getting it done, why not partner with them? Williamsburg, Suffolk, Hampton, Virginia Beach. There's so many things that those cities are doing, and Portsmouth doesn't like to be compared. So let me say that, number one. But if they're doing something, tourism, education, bringing in new business, if they're doing it the right way, let's work with them to get that into our city. But that's almost a 50-year mindset that we have to undo. And here I am, a 30-year-old, trying to redo some things. But I'm willing to get my hands dirty with it. But I have friends in Norfolk leadership, in Chesapeake leadership, in Virginia Beach leadership that are, their city is in drive. And like I said, we're not in drive, we're not in first gear, we're hovering in neutral. So I'm willing to meet with those people so that we can bridge the gap, work with them, and get our city in drive as well.
Dante Walston is with us here in the Coastal Virginia Chamber of Commerce. He wants to be your next city councilman for the city of Portsmouth. There's a big slate over there. We're trying to interview as many of them as we can. Let's talk about the casino, Mr. Walston.
Okay.
Are you for it or against it? Will it be good for the city or have too many bad elements?
Mr. Gotti, how much time do we have? I'll be frank with you. I will be absolutely frank with you. And I know a lot of people don't like this, but I have to be 100% with you. As it stands right now, I am not completely with the casino because I don't see our first responders fully staffed. If we're going to have an entertainment district that's going to bring more people into our city, which will bring more issues into our city, we need to have our first responders in place first. That's firefighters, that's police officers, that's emergency services. And we have a shortage right now. And we have leadership that's pushing for a casino, but not pushing to have our first responders fully staffed. So I'd rather prioritize them instead of a casino. The casino, again, it sounds nice. And I'll be frank with you, I like a blackjack table. But but to be realistic for Portsmouth right now, I don't think that's what we need right now. If those jobs aren't going to our people, and I'm not talking about minimum wage jobs, I'm talking about livable wage jobs are going to our people. If those tax dollars are not coming straight into Portsmouth, if those contracts aren't going to small and minority contractors, I don't want the casino for Portsmouth. I see it benefiting everybody else but Portsmouth. The only thing it will put us on is the front page of the Pilot for the wrong thing, and we've been on that for too long.
The tolls have been very tough on the city of Portsmouth. Obviously, the easiest thing would be to get rid of them. That doesn't seem like it's going to happen. Portsmouth, it's not in your budget that you can buy the whole project back.
That's right.
Any thoughts?
I'll be frank with you. The tolls were a bad deal. Almost one of those backroom bad deals that the people have been suffering for some time now. And that's something I hear a lot of people say, oh, there's nothing that can be done. There's nothing that can be done. I'm willing, as a part of the union, I go to Richmond often with the AFL-CIO. So I'm willing to be a city council person or part of leadership that will go to Richmond and continue to pressure and meet with our legislators. We can't keep sweeping that issue up under the rug and praying that it goes away. It's monumental. The numbers on it are grave, but due to that toll, Portsmouth is the second least visited city in Hampton Roads. So we need to do something. So I'm willing to meet with our legislators and see what kind of compromises we can have. The burden has been on Portsmouth. No other city in the 757 has been really crushed as much as Portsmouth has. So I'm willing to meet with our state legislators, but it was a bad deal. Our state legislators knew it was a bad idea. I assume they did the best they could, but I'm going to start on the city council and fight for it. And maybe in the future, I'll be in Richmond so I can really fight for it. But it's something that Portsmouth residents, they don't deserve. I don't like paying. I've got other things I love to pay for that stuff, and I can't even write it off anymore. So we've got to have somebody willing to meet with our legislators, and I am.
Schools shut down in Portsmouth till at least next year.
Oh, yeah.
The polls say the majority of parents want the schools back in place.
Right.
Good idea, bad idea?
Our young people need to be back in the class. The socialization they're missing, and I know that being a former educator, I get that. But I'm all about having things in order. Are our young people going to be safe while they're there? I mean, again, the camaraderie between the teachers, I miss that, the staff and all, but we've got to have our young people, we've got to have safety measures in place for our young people before they can go into the classrooms. I am for getting them back into the schools, but getting them back in the right way, not shoving it in their face so that we'll have young people coming home sick. We've got to get this COVID thing under control.
I got you. That Roger that. Dante Walston with us again here on the Coastal Virginia Chamber of Commerce. He wants to be a city councilman. In the couple minutes we have left, you're knocking on doors, talking to people. What are the voters most passionate about, or you? What's really the number one thing that you'd like to push forth if indeed you're elected to Portsmouth City Council?
Oh, well, it's a few things. They want, again, it's so crazy, Mr. Gotts, you mentioned it first thing. They want to get off the page of the Virginia Pilot. We have been, I mean, you know, we're like the dark city in Hampton Roads because everything that we do is it's exaggerated, and the Virginia Pilot takes it and runs with it. They want to get off the front page for that. They want somebody that's going to come in with fresh ideas, with fresh energy, with a new approach, and I think that's myself. I don't want to brag too much. And they want to see things get done. We have all these leaders that are making all these $1 million and big promises that don't get anything done. They get into these seats and they're professional seat warmers. And I don't want to be a seat warmer. I want to be I want to be moving to make things happen. Bring in those businesses, bring in jobs, get our school and get our school in place. I wanted to mention this a second ago. We put so much money into our school systems, and the money is not going into the schools, it's going into the administration. We've got to get our schools in the right direction. But across the board, from the people and my personal self, I'm ready to put the city back in drive. I like a car that goes forward, not that sits still.
Well, you certainly have a ton of energy. I like that. I had that 30 years ago myself, brother.
Thank you.
Please tell the voters how they could get in touch with you, or any closing comment you want to make as we wrap up.
Okay, sure thing. Again, I'm Dante Walston, the young guy, the millennial, bringing that young energy, that young, fresh approach to leadership to the city of Portsmouth. The people can reach me on my website, DanteWalstonPortsmouth.com, or they can find me on my Facebook page, Dante Walston, or even my political page, Dante Walston, Portsmouth City Council 2020. Please, I love the message. I love the energy. I'm trying to be that energizer battery for the city of Portsmouth. I've got my double A's ready.
The little bunny.
Yeah, I'm ready to roll with it.
I see right over your shoulder you got a bottle of wine there. I'll come over on election night if you win.
Please.
We'll celebrate.
I'm ready.
Dante Walston right there. He wants to be your next city councilman in the city of Portsmouth. Right. I'm your host, JP Gotzi. Thanks to our tech guy, Max, our executive director, Ron Villanueva, and of course our chairman, Gary Byler. Thanks again for joining us for the Coastal Virginia Chamber of Commerce, another civic engagement platform. See you next time.
All right, thanks so much.